Okay, good morning, guys. Today we're going to talk about the LiFT scholarship, right? If you don't know about the LiFT scholarship, this is the basic overview of what the LiFT scholarship is all about. Is the Shabrakar Linux Foundation Training Scholarship Program, which is also referred to as LiFT. And this is the website, linuxfoundation.org about LiFT scholarship. Okay, Linux Foundation is like the number one platform or providers of anything that has to do with Linux, right? And especially the training and all that. So the objective of this scholarship, right, is to advance open source training for aspiring IT professionals. And the aim is to increase disability in open source technology by providing training courses, certification to individual at no cost, right, to the recipients, right? So this has been since 2010, and they've given over 3,750 scholarship worth over 4 million, over millions of dollars, right? And so today we're just going to go through the process, right? So I won this scholarship in 2025, right? And I won this scholarship in 2025, and I'm just going to show you, I'm just going to share some insights into how to go about it. When I was applying for mine, I had no one who, I actually didn't have anybody to guide me, but I just went on, right, to apply. So I did my application in this is April 22nd, right? And you can see this is when I submitted my application. Okay. And this is when you're going to be notified. So you'll be notified in June if you've been selected. So in about, I got a congratulatory message on 24th of June, right? That I I've been selected for the program, okay, that I won the scholarship. So I think that I can just share a couple of insight into how how I went about it and also how you can go about it as well. So I'm just gonna go through. So this is you could just type LIFT scholarship on Google. You can do this LIFT scholarship I on Google, right? So I don't want to go to the sites. I just want to search elite scholarship, scholarship, right? So in case you don't know the website, it's just going to take you to it's just going to give you here, and then you click, and you're just going to come over here, okay? So when you come over here, you read, and then you scroll down, you see the people who have won before. Not everybody's going to be here because it's a small page, right? So you're just going to click through, you see the different categories, right? You can also click through the archives and then see more people as well. So when you go through, one of the things we want to do is to click on apply. Okay. So when you click on apply, you're going to review um, the descriptions, right? So you can see the deadline is actually 30th. And I'm just doing this video in case you are interested in listening and just to get more idea. So this is just going to give you the description of the scholarship, right? And it's also going to tell you when you're going to be notified, right? And this is very important, right? So if you use AI, they're definitely gonna know, right? They're definitely gonna know. So you want to actually write your story yourself to ensure that it doesn't affect your score, right? So because AI can actually give you something to submit, but it's not gonna give you a good story. It's not going to give you a true story of what your experience actually is and how you're going to use it to your application. So this you want to also look at the requirements, right? So these are all things to know. This is basically the rule about AI. not using AI, right? If you use AI, it's definitely going to reduce your score and may disqualify your application. So applications that clearly speak from personal perspective will increase your score, right? So you also want to see if you are awarded a scholarship, you receive notification before or on June 30th, because I received mine on the 24th. Right. So now there are different categories, right? You can have open source newbie. So you could be a student or someone who just started out in IT, or you just finished for you just finish your college, and all that. So you want to see if you fall into this category, you're going to choose the open source newbie. If you're also open source tech team, if you're between the ages of 16 to 19 and you just started tech, you can also look into this as well. If you're a woman in tech, open source, right? You're a woman in technology, and then you're contributing to open source, you're writing articles to help other people grow, you want to look into this. If you're open source girl between the age of 16 to 19, you want to look into this as well. So we have a whole lot of category that can actually help that you will definitely fall into, right? So we have open source volunteer developer. So this is where I actually applied for and I won it. And yeah, so you can look into this as well. Then we have system administrator star for system administrator, right? They've been working as a system administrator for quite some time and they have a full-time job. So you want to look into this if you're a system admin. Then digital trust innovator, right? So you're using digital trust technology and um you want to apply for the scholarship. So you can just choose this category. So we have Cloud Champion. So currently employed in the role open source cloud native seeking to take advantage and any certification to enhance their career. Okay, so this is Cloud Champion. So we have networking. If you're into networking, so you want to go into this. If you're into AI, so you also want to look into this as well. Okay, maybe you're using PyTorch, you're into data science, you want to look into this. And if you're actually working with hardwares, right? Maybe software that has to do with Rick CV. You want to take this. And then if you're into cybersecurity, this is for you. If you're a Linux guy, you're very good with Ubuntu, Kali Linux, and all the rest, Fedora, CentOS, this is for you. Then if you're open source college professor or teacher or researcher, this is also for you. So basically, if you're unemployed open source professional, this is also for you. Then if you're government open source, if you work with the government, right? So this is also for you. So from what we can see, they they have categories that suits almost everybody, right? Almost everybody. So once you're done with that, you just click on apply. Okay. You click on apply and it's gonna ask you to either create a new account or you sign in. So I already have an account, so I'm gonna sign in to my account. Just gonna click into my account and then I'll put my PIN. So I'm just gonna sign in. Okay. So now what we're gonna do next is we just wait for it to load. Now you're just gonna put in the basic information. You're going to put in basic information. So you upload a photo of yourself, you put your LinkedIn page, and then you put your GitHub. Okay. So we're just going to do like a demo because I'm not applying for this year. I'm not applying. I'm just going to say I'm 50 years old. I'm not. Say, I'm just going to choose the state that I'm in. I'm going to put, um, well, I'm going to choose any state here. Let's just put those stuff. So you're going to choose a photo. Now I'm just doing a demo, right? So because I'm not applying yet, I'm not applying for this year. I already have applied last year and I don't think I want to apply this year because I have a lot on my table. I really have a whole lot of things that I'm working on, so I may not be able to I may not be able to really so you're just gonna put if you want, you can put your provide your LinkedIn and then your GitHub account if you want. So now you're just gonna say, you've read and you consent to all of this stuff. So what it means is that the photo that you already uploaded, and then you can be contacted for interview. Just if you win the scholarship, right? And you want to actually just choose all of these, then so you can move to the next stage. Okay. Now, this is where you're going to choose the category. Like you're going to put your employment information. If you're a student, if you're, if you're part-time, working part-time, you're unemployed, you want to choose those things. If you don't have any work or maybe you're working full-time, you can also put that. You can put your job title. You can say, what is the name of your company or school? You can just say, put the name of the company, solution. So what is the address of your school, employer or school? You can just put any address there. You can put any address. Your address actually. I'm just putting any address there because um I'm not actually applying, okay? So I'm just doing this video so we can actually just see all those things. But these are some of the things that you need to feel yourself because the main thing, the main part is where we need to just go walk up to. So that's why I'm just showing you this information. And those part are actually very, very important, right? That's what makes or break your application. So when we get there, just have to exercise a picture. When we get there, so how many years of extra experience do you have? For 7 years? Do you have volunteer? Yes, I do. So what is the name of the organization you volunteer for? Okay, now, uh, okay. So we're just moving. I figure out that we can actually move to different pages, right? So you can feed up this information and feed them. But this is where I really want us to concentrate on, right? Because this is the technology and the learning aspect of it, right? So now this is very important. Remember that you were told at the beginning that you shouldn't actually uh, use AI or copy from others. This will reduce your credit profile you. So answer that clearly speak from your perspective to increase your score. So this is the most important thing here. Okay. So now, what area of open source do you want to learn about for the next you want to learn about next, right? So this is very important, right? You want to be specific. So most time people just said, I want to learn about cloud engineering, or maybe I want to learn about software engineering. But what you're asking you is what areas of open source? Because now when you say you want to learn about cybersecurity, you want to learn about maybe you want to learn about automation, maybe you want to learn. So you have to be specific, right? If you're talking, you want to learn about cloud engineering, you have to specify the part of cloud engineering you want to learn. You can say you want to learn containerization, or you want to learn container orchestration, or you want to learn infrastructure, or you want to learn virtual machines. You just have to because you need to be really, really specific. And you need to tell a compelling story why you want to learn that part. So one of the things that I would actually advise that you do when you're given this application, you want to personalize as much as possible. I'm going to lay more emphasis on the word personalize. Personalize, and customize as much as possible. So in this situation, if you use AI is just going to give you something generic, right? And that means you're going to be disqualified because if you see every point here is 20, like every you have 20 points here. So you have in this whole page, you have the opportunity to win 60 points, right? In this whole page. So you want to customize as much as possible. If I were the one answering this question, I would pick a particular point in a field that I'm interested in. Let's say I'm interested in cloud engineering. I'm going to say I am interested in learning about containerization. Okay, I'm learning about containerization. Then I can go further and say using Docker and also Kubernetes. Then I'll give the reasons why. Now, the reasons why you want to do that is nobody in the world can actually give that type of reasons. If you give a reason because I feel it's something I want to learn, I feel it will help me increase my skill. Those are very generic reasons. It's not something you want to give for a scholarship as competitive as a LiFT scholarship. You want to tell a story. Telling a story is what will differentiate you from every other person. Now, it seems like I'm saying something vague, but this is how you can actually go about it. First of all, you want to map down what you want. You want to see containerization using Docker or Kubernetes. And the reason why you want to learn this is the fact that at work, you just recently transitioned into a cloud engineering intern, right? You just got a role as a cloud engineering intern, and you see that you got for the first time you got to interact with containers and you're really impressed. And you get to understand the benefit of containers in today's world in microservices, how containers actually help us to achieve loosely coupled architecture. And you see that because of your prior experience working with VMs or working with writing code in Visual Studio, you're so interested, like you're so passionate on how you see that your code can actually get containerized and then used across different platforms, whether it's Mac OS, whether it's Windows, whether it's Linux, it doesn't really matter. So you want to tell a story of how you actually got to this point. Everything about this scholarship is more about telling stories, personal life story, highly customized stories. Okay, so that's how you're gonna go about that. So I'm gonna do a recap. You want to tell, you want to choose a very niche and specific open source area, right? Don't just say cloud engineering, don't just say software engineering because that's extremely broad. Software engineering has a whole lot of parts. Don't just say data science. What in data science you want to learn? Do you want to learn algorithm development? Do you want to learn how to deploy LLMs? So you want to actually take a specific part and go deep down into that specific part and tell it, create a story from that part. Now, the same thing also apply to describe your experience and using and developing open source software or technology, right? No, this part doesn't really mean that you must be a developer, right? It doesn't really mean that you should be a developer because people say, I've not developed anything, so I can't really apply to this. No, but if you read very well, they say describe your experience using and developing. So you can actually write on the using part, right? And one thing you can also do here, one thing you can do here, when you talk about whatever you're doing, whatever you're writing about, let's say you've been using Docker for the past 5 years or for the past 3 years, you want to talk about how you progressed and how you get to know about Docker or how you get to know about containers and how your struggles because you're trying to personalize it and make it really, really different from every other story out there. So people really like it when they see how you struggle with something and then you get to realize that, okay, right now I'm getting better. And not just right now you're getting better, you're also helping other people get better, right? Because this is an open source scholarship, right? It's all open source. So you want to really write in the way to make the person that's reading or reviewing your application know that you are actually an open source minded person, that you're learning something, you're not just keeping it for yourself, whether you're building a software, using the technology, using AI, you're using something, you want to let other people really know because that's one of the things that stood out for me. Every story that I write, I trace it, I connect it back to how I'm using that tool or I'm using that technology to help other people as well. Because at the bottom, at the base of this scholarship application is open source. Okay. So you want to pick a particular you want to talk about your experience using open source. Now, open source softwares, you can browse about the open source software and you see you're using a lot of open source softwares like Git is open source, MySQL is open source, Python is open source. You have a whole lot of open source tools out there that we use every day that we didn't even know they are open source, right? Most of the programming language, if not all of them, are actually open source. Most of the databases, right, are open source, apart from the ones that you see that has licenses on them. They're open source, right? So we have a lot of open source. So you want to pick the ones that you actually been using, that you have experience using for quite some time, and then write about that, personalize it, show how you've been able to move from a beginner maybe to intermediate and now expert level. And you didn't stop there. You actually show how you've been contributing to the development of other people using this same uh software and technology. Okay, so that's what you're gonna put here as well. Now, this further part, why is learning more about open source technology important to your future? Now, this is a very, I don't think I had this question. I don't think I had this question, but it's also something that you can actually answer, right? So this is a very highly personalized and customized um question. Why is learning more about open source technology important to your future? Right? So now you can look at this from a different perspective. The perspective that you can actually look at this from is looking at it from the perspective of the benefits of open source, right? So if we check here, if we uh just do a quick browse, benefits of open source technology. So if you look at the benefits of open source technology, right, you will see that open source technology, they're actually cost effective, cost efficient, security and transparency, flexible customization, faster innovation, vendor independence, interoperability. Now, how does all of this or any of this actually relate to you, right? Now, most most of um most tools out there, right? They actually have licensing. They have licensing fee, they have subscriptions, and they also prevent they have vendor lock-ins, right? So if you have all your development done on AWS, you probably be using AWS for most of the things you do, except you develop a multi-cloud strategy. So you want to look at how all of these things can actually help you. See, um, open source technology is cost efficient for me, and because it actually allows me to use learn a broad range of technology that can help me become better in developing these skills, reward skills, right? So you want to actually like just think about any of these or one or two of these, and then go deep down. So if you look at what this AI summarization, right? Open source full stack environment where innovation is driven by reward needs rather than corporate agendas, often robust, scalable, and adaptable too for businesses, right? So it's just telling you that it's making everything open for you to actually have the ability to learn without thinking about payment, without thinking about cost, right? Without thinking about actually getting a license, which is actually a barrier to a lot of things, right? So it's like democratizing knowledge. So how would democratizing knowledge actually help you achieve your future goals? So you want to tell the way you're going to say this is not that you're going to say, oh, open source is going to help me achieve this. Say something very, very concrete. Say, for instance, I'm trying to build this application, and I believe that learning open source will actually help me achieve this, a better understanding of Kubernetes, a better understanding of Docker, a better understanding of various platforms, or maybe Apache or whatever, right? So you want to tell a story. You want to give a reasons why, and also, how is it going to be good for your future? You can also say something like, um, because I'm someone who likes to contribute to my community, I mean, learning about open source will actually give me the ability to invest and develop more talents, right? In technology, who don't have access um to licenses from other companies, right? With open source technology, they can learn the fundamentals of technology and then build upon that. So you want to tell a story. So I'm going to write it. Tell a personalized story. Okay. Tell personalized story. Tell personalized story. You want to tell personalized story. You want to also want to show. You want to show initiative to contribute to your community. To your community. So like fundamentally, show how you are using open source technology to advance your career now. Okay. So in this part, so basically this, I think this tells a whole lot of story about, so this tells a, like this, once you have this in your mind, you want to tell a personalized story, you want to show initiative to contribute to your community, you want to show how you're using open source technology to advance your career at this point in time. This is like a very good framework for you to build upon. And the same thing also lies here. You also want to tell a personalized story, tell a personalized story. You want to show initiative. You want to show initiative from your experience. You want to show share examples of past projects or ongoing projects. Okay. And also again, you want to also show initiative to impact your community. Okay. So basically, that's the framework that I always like using, right? So I want to tell the personalized story. I want to share initiative. I want to share example of past going projects. I want to build on those stuff, right? But I think this one, you want to tell like a very striking story, a story that actually connects, right? Story that makes sense, right? A really personalized story that makes sense. You want to show good process, right? You want to, let me just, let me put this down here. Show good, show progression in your journey, okay? Because you want to see that you're learning. You want to see you've been learning something, and you want to see that you've been learning something. You want to see how you're going to use what you learned so far to also achieve something else. Okay. So yeah. So basically, this is just the main part that can actually give you what you want in this application. Okay. Now we're gonna go to the next one. I'm not sure it's gonna let us, but I'm not sure it's gonna let up, but let's just see. Okay. So the reason why it's not gonna let us because oh, okay, that's nice. It already allowed us to go. So now we so now we just have to choose the path that is gonna be good for us, right? Where we think we fall into. You've already read about all this information is already written here. So you can just choose the path that actually works for you, okay? When you choose that part, you click on submit. Okay, so that's it. You're good to go here, and I wish you all the best. So like I said before, this is the most important part, right? So this is the most important part. This is the most important part. So I'm just gonna take I'm just gonna take this and put it into a notepad, and I'm just gonna take this and put it into a notepad, and so we can just go through everything. You know, so tell a personal life story. Show initiative of your experience from your experience, show example of past projects or ongoing projects. Again, you want to show initiatives to impact your um, community. Also, you want to show progress in your journey, right? Because they want to see that you're learning something, right? So you've been in the process learning something. You're not starting today, right? So this is going to be like the evidence, right? It's going to be evidence that you actually been learning a lot of stuff and how the okay. So you want to tell how the scholarship, right? It's going to help you and others as well. Okay, so if you use this model, this is actually going to work very well for you because this is the same model that I use, right? I didn't have anybody who guided me, but I just thought about what I'm going to do. I read about the scholarship very well. I reviewed it very well, and I understood what the scholarship was about, what they are trying to achieve, and I built my story around my research. I built my story around what makes sense. Look into my experience and picked what makes sense, look into my project and I picked the one that's related, So look into your experience, create a story, show initiative from your experience, tell a personalized story. Again, you want to show how, this stuff that this scholarship you're applying for, how it's going to help your community, how it's going to help you as a person, and also how it's going to help your community. You want to show progress. You want to show that, oh, you've been learning about containers, but right now you're moving to a container attestation, and that's why you're applying for this because it is going to give you access to Docker, it's going to give you access to advanced Kubernetes, and then, so you want to you want to follow this framework and um, build a story around this. And I tell you, if you do this, you'll definitely, by the grace of God, you're definitely going to get it. Okay. So I'm going to stop here. I'm not applying. So this is just the way for you to get a guide that you want that's going to help you to get the scholarship. Okay. So I wish you all the best in your application for the 2026 LIFT scholarship. Okay. Do have a wonderful day ahead. Bye.